Hello, I'm Sydney.
And I'm Melanie.
This is Drawntaneous.
We're back. I feel like I say that every other episode.
You say that every time, but it comes out every week regardless.
It's true. It's because we've, again, taken a long break from recording because life things. We're busy adults. Jobs.
What with the jobs and whatnot. And I work in a grocery store and holiday season's coming up, so it's hell.
Yay. I mean, my job is going to be kind of hell too because we're short-staffed.
But that's due to incompetence.
We're short-staffed, and on top of that, we're supposed to get really bad winter storms this year.
Oh, fuck no.
My job is essential, and we're required to report no matter what the weather is, so it's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
Some people aren't gonna make it in, and so, anyways, I digress. Today, Sydney, you have to draw a Ghibli character in the Starbound universe.
Nice. Magnificent.
I thought you would like that one.
I do like that a lot.
I thought it'd be very cute. So for those listening who don't know, Starbound is a survival game. Would you call it a survival? I guess it's just like, it's straight up survival. Like, in the sense that you have to, or everybody knows what Minecraft is at this point, right?
I'm pretty
Everybody
sure.
is aware of Minecraft. Starbound is a 2D survival game in the vein of Minecraft, where like you have to gather resources and like craft things, and you can like build things. But Starbound takes place in space, and it's a very simplified like planet system. It's very cute. You should look it up. You get a spaceship, and it's really awesome. You get a crew.
Well, you get the crew through effort. You're not
gather
just
the
given
crew.
it.
Yeah. It reminds me of how much I want to play Starbound again, actually. Starbound's so good. But today we're going to talk about games we've played recently. Because that's what we're feeling today.
Despite how short the list actually is.
The list is so short because we've played so much of these games recently. So why don't we talk about, we've both played the games.
Yeah.
That we're going to talk about today, just in varying amounts of time.
Yeah.
So why don't we talk about the first one we got recently? Which one's that one, Sydney?
Hank. Goose Game.
Hank!
So we played Goose Game at PAX, and I actually didn't know it was coming out so soon.
Yeah, you were pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, so it was nice to play it and then actually play it. I just feel like I flubbed it at PAX, because after playing it on the Switch, like, I did much better.
Well, but, like, it was your first time playing the game ever. Like, you had no idea what you were doing. I think you made it further than most people. Like, I was watching the people ahead of us play, and I think you got more stuff done than anybody else immediately ahead of us. You also messed around a lot.
I did.
You were just, like, doing stuff to, so in the first level of Goose Game, actually, let's talk about what Goose Game is. So it's Untitled Goose Game. You play as a goose who is terrorizing a town. And it's literally just, you go around and you have objectives in each, like, level area that you have to complete in order to then move on to the next area. And so the first level is in a garden. There's a gardener. You are very mean to the gardener.
And you are a horrible goose.
You are a horrible, horrible goose. Oh, it's so good. What was I gonna go with that?
That, like, I was just being an asshole.
Oh, yeah, you were just being super mean to the gardener, and I think a lot of people are appreciating that. You actually had... So at PAX, they had the big screen. The setup was really cute. They had, like, a little park bench. It's adorable. They had, like, little fake grass. But so we ended up sitting at the big screen. We
waited for the big screen.
We waited for the big screen. I mean, the wait wasn't that long. We could have played on the Switch, but we decided to wait and play on the big screen. Because I didn't really feel like playing it. I just wanted to watch Sydney play it. But Sydney, you had a small audience watching you play. Like, these weren't even people who were waiting in line. These were like people who were walking by, saw you playing, and stopped to watch. And like, you were so focused in what you were doing, but I could overhear them behind us going like, yeah, you can do it, Goose. You got this, Goose.
Nice. Yeah, I was very focused.
It's so fun. It's such a fun game. So, like, the tasks you'd be assigned would be all, like, oh, you're gonna have a little picnic for yourself. So go collect these items from the garden and bring them back and put them on the picnic basket, or on the picnic blanket.
Yeah.
And so it was like you had to get a carrot, and you had to get jam, and you had to get the radio for your jams.
Heh.
Thank you. You had to, like, get the thermos and find the sandwiches. So it's like basic things like that, but the puzzle comes through like figuring out how to do these things and figuring out how to make the different actors in the game do things that will allow you to complete these objectives. So like one of them is like you have to get the gardener wet, or you have to steal the gardener's keys and lock him out of the garden itself. And there's multiple ways of completing these different objectives. So it's kind of fun watching Sydney play it, and then while I'm playing it, going, oh, I'm going to do it this way instead. It's very fun. What do you like about the Goose game, Sydney?
I think definitely my favorite is just, like, honking at people.
You too. You really love the honk button.
It's fun.
Who is your favorite character to mess with?
I think definitely, like... Gosh, I'm kind of torn between, like, the gardener and, like, the nosy neighbors.
The nosy neighbors are hilarious. I think out of all of the people you interact with as the Goose, the nosy neighbors deserve
because they're just assholes.
Most. They're kind of jerks. Like, they're very petty and, like, are very, like, combative with each other, and, like, covet each other's things. And, like, one of them peeps on the other. They deserve it the most.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know who my favorite character to mess with is?
Yeah, the poor child.
The boy! Oh my gosh.
That poor child. That's, like, the only character where I actually feel, like, really guilty messing with them. Because they're just a kid.
I don't know what it is about it. I just really appreciate the boy. And I don't want to spoil anything, so we're going to be very, like, vague about it. But, like, messing with the boy is so fun.
It's so terrible.
The stuff you have to... the stuff you have to do to him is hilarious. It is like the meanest thing ever. Like, on the internet right now, a lot of people... There were a lot of tweets I saw that was all like... The whole like, oh... Game developers are all like, oh, people don't want evil characters. And then meanwhile, gamers are like, yes, let me play the evil Goose. Because the Goose is objectively mean.
Well, and like... I think it feels better to be mean as the Goose because
you're a goose.
Geese are already assholes.
They have the
so
reputation.
it's just like
it's so funny.
Like, I guess, and also because it is very simplified and cartoony. Like,
can we talk real briefly about the sound design and the music design in this game?
I mean, I know that's definitely your thing.
Oh, it was so good. First off, just in sound design, the little pap of little feet.
Yes, if there's like nothing going on,
it's
like
so
you can
good.
hear the goose's feet
it's
slapping about.
So good. It's so satisfying. I love it so much. But also the music is like, it's dynamic music. It's all piano, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it is.
And so it'll do things like if a person's coming after you to get like an item that you have, the music will become more frantic. Or otherwise it's just really like soft and like lush and very calming. But it's so good. The music design was excellent in this game. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a delight. It's funny because I remember seeing it online like a long, long time ago and just being like, yeah, this will never come out because it's not a traditional game thing that people want.
I'm so glad it came out though. It's so wholesome. It's so
it's
good.
So fun.
So I think we've both completed the game to the same point where we...
All we have left are the time trials.
Yeah, we beat the game, we got all of the extra bits the extra objectives, and now, we only have the time trials left. And I'm not too interested in doing the time trials. I just really liked puzzling out how to do all of this different stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you get a prize for doing the time trials, and I do want that prize.
What's the prize?
It's a crown.
Oh! I love it!
I knew you would.
Oh, that's so cute. Just being a goose walking around with a crown on your head. It's like, yeah, I own this place.
I'm king asshole.
I don't want to completely spoil the end of the game, but, like, that was the funniest thing ever.
The reveal's really good.
The reveal is so good. And that's all I'm going to say. Like, the payoff was so good.
It was so worth it. Like, just... Because, like, you realize it even before the credits roll.
You do realize it, but...
It's just so good.
And then the implications that come from the ending of just like, wow, no wonder everybody's so prepared for the goose.
Because you're an asshole.
Everybody has signs.
Oh yeah, everyone has pre-prepared, like, anti-goose signs. So I have, well, because we played it at PAX, like, we have pins of the anti-goose sign, and I wear mine to work. And it's so fun to have customers who are just like, so, what are your stances on Geese? And I'll just tell them, I was like, well, actually, it's for a video game. But I also hate Geese. They're assholes, and they terrify me.
So good. Oh.
They're assholes!
So it occurs to me that we have been lamenting about Geese for the last 10 minutes. Let's divert to the other game that we've both played recently.
Yeah.
So
you've played it much more than I have.
I am almost done with this game. So we got Link's Awakening, the Switch remake. Link's Awakening was my first Zelda game and possibly my first video game ever, if I remember correctly, because my dad had a Game Boy and Link's Awakening was one of the games he had. He had, is it Super Mario World? Is that a Mario title?
I know there was a Mario on the Game Boy that was not well received.
It's the one with the little map and your little Mario that's kind of like bouncing around on the map.
Okay, that's
and then,
like
you go to, it's like an overworld.
There's
and then,
a lot of Mario games like that.
It was the one for the Game Boy.
Well, you see, I didn't have the Game Boy.
I know. But my dad had that one. He also had Chess Master. So those were the three games.
God, your dad's a nerd!
Those were the three games I had to choose from on the Game Boy. It was Chess Master, Mario, and Link's Awakening. I was not good at any of them because I was like 5 when I tried to play these games. And I did not have the built-in gamer coordination that I do now.
The years of training.
The years of training. Like, so when I first played Link's Awakening, I got stuck in the 4th dungeon, the catfish dungeon, whatever it's called. Specifically because I did not comprehend the mechanic for the mini-boss of that dungeon. So, Sydney, you don't care about getting spoiled. And
No.
Also, I don't feel like a game that's been out for almost my entire life can be spoiled, but Sydney's in the process of playing it. But you don't care, and in fact, this will probably help you down the line, because, God, I did not figure this out until I played it again. You fight this mini-boss 4 times in 4 identical rooms. The only difference in the rooms is that, like, there's different number of tiles colored on the floor. So it's like, there's an order you have to go to in each of these rooms. And if you don't do it in the right order, you don't find him again. And so you don't get to fight him again. And so I didn't understand that as a kid, so I think maybe I fought him once or twice, but then I couldn't understand why I couldn't progress anymore. And that was because the 3rd room was way out of the way. You had to, like, go out of your way to find it again. To fight him, and then you can fight him a 4th time, and then that gives you I think it's the hook shot is what he gets you eventually. Yeah, it is the hook shot, because he, like, stole the hook shot from the chest that you were trying to get it from. But, like, I didn't understand that, and then when I played it this time through, I was like, oh, I understand exactly what I'm supposed to do. I see. I can understand why a 5-year-old child would not have gotten this.
Yeah, games were not made for kids back then.
I also am not entirely convinced that... So I only figured it out because on the map, I could see the different numbered rooms, essentially, because there was, like, the first room I fought him in had 1 blue square, and the second room had 2 blue squares. I'm like, oh, so I just find the room with 3 blue squares, which I had already been to, so I could see it on the map. I don't know if that was a thing in the original game, because they made a lot of, like, how would you call it? A lot of, like, life improvements, so to say, where, like...
They nerfed it.
They didn't nerf it, they just gave you tools that made it easier for you to figure out what was going on. So, like, on the map, you can now drop pins in, like, the style of Breath of the Wild, so that you can figure out where things are, or, like, mark places you want to go to again. I didn't use this until the final dungeon, where there are, like, no joke, 16 different stairways.
And what's funny is when I was playing, you saw me put a pin down for something, and you were like, wait a minute.
Well, because I forgot. Because I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing you can do. But yeah, there were like 16 different stairs that all connect to each other in some way, and without the pin marking system, I would have not been able to figure it out where everything goes without extreme frustration. Because all of them, like, matched up together, and there were just enough pins to assign a symbol to each stairwell, so I knew where all of them went to. But yeah, I think I've been kind of hard on it so far, but, like, I really love Link's Awakening.
Yeah, you do.
It's been so fun. Sydney, what do you think of Link's Awakening? Because this is your first time playing it.
It is, and it's intriguing. It's definitely older.
You can tell, yeah, it feels like an older game.
It really does.
Which is fine. Like, I think it holds up.
I mean, yeah, it does. It kind of reminds me of the one Mario game that was not a Mario game. But, like, they made it Mario because of reasons.
What?
The one where you get to play as, like, Peach and Toad and Luigi. It kind of reminds me of that in, like, its weird, quirky mechanics.
Okay.
Because, like, they were trying new stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is definitely an experimental thing.
Yeah.
Like, you can...
Oh, yeah,
you can tell. Like, it almost feels like half the assets are from a Mario game.
Yeah. Well, gee, you think? The chain chomps and the Goombas and whatnot? That was, like, the first thing I noticed was, like, why is there a chain chomp?
Okay, but you know what was so funny to me is that as a kid, I didn't know anything about these franchises. So I was just like, yeah, sure, that's normal. So, like, it never occurred to me that the chain chomp was weird. Or that, like, there are chain chomps, there are cheep cheeps, there are Goombas and bloopers. These are all Mario enemies. Like, it never occurred to me that that was weird.
So, like, a lot of my first games were, not that I got to play them, but, like, that I saw were on the Super Nintendo. So, like, Super Mario World, especially. And also, like, I think it was Donkey Kong Country, but, like, no one cares about that. It's all about the Mario. But, it's interesting. It's quirky. I haven't been playing much of it because there's a project I'm trying to finish.
Yeah, I think, but you got a decent way into it. You were like, you got the third instrument.
Yeah, I did.
So, like, that's a good solid couple of hours that you played.
Yeah. But, like, I'm not willing to play more until I finish my project, because, damn it, I want to finish it.
I mean, that's fair. What I find really interesting now that I have the breadth of knowledge in Zelda that I do now, seeing how Link's Awakening is probably one of the very first early instances of the Zelda formula, where there's a dungeon, you go into the dungeon, there's a mini-boss, there's a final boss, there's a boss key, there's a item, there's a boss, there's an item specific to that dungeon that will allow you to finish the dungeon, and then you may or may not use it on the boss. In future Zelda games, you always use the special item for that dungeon to beat the boss, but in this one, it's kind of optional. The bosses are all kind of straightforward. You just hit them, basically, and figure out how to, like, bypass their invulnerabilities.
I think the one that pissed me off was, the color dungeon one, because, like, it was like, blue is safe. And I'm like, okay, so I have to wait for it to change color before I can hit it.
It's purposefully misleading.
Yeah. Oh, I see. It's clever.
It's purposely misleading. You hit it a bunch, because the whole thing is if you hit that boss a bunch, if you stop, it'll start to revert back and like heal itself. And so there's a dialogue that pops up. It's like, oh no, take your time. So it's like, it is misleading.
Because if you hadn't told me, I would not have touched it.
Which is why I kept telling you. I was like, no, just hit it. Just hit it, Sydney. You're overthinking it.
But it's not overthinking. It told me blue is safe.
I think it meant for it.
Fuck that turtle.
He is one of the easier bosses, though.
Turtle's an asshole.
But like, I find myself overthinking the game a little bit, and I have to like tone it back a bit sometimes because I have expectations that the Zelda franchise has built up, but those aren't in place yet in this game. So the puzzles are often far more easier than I was expecting because I was assuming more from the game, which is fine. I just think it's really interesting remembering playing it as a kid and now playing it 20 years later, at least, and just the difference that experience is, I think is really cool.
Yeah.
Since we're close to wrapping up, I think, the music in Link's Awakening, oh my god, that was the thing I was most excited for, because I could remember, so the village that you spend most of your time in is spelled M-A-B-E, village, and I always assumed that it was Maybe Village, which is so fucking clever if you know, so I won't spoil the very ending of Link's Awakening, but like if you know the ending, that is super clever. But I was always waffling. I was like, oh, is it Maybe or is it Maybe? But I'm like, oh no, I think it's definitely Maybe because like the naming mechanics in this game are really clever and kind of give away the ending. And also once you get far enough into the game, it flat out tells you what the plot twist is. But oh, the music's so good. You haven't made it to the Animal Village yet.
I have not.
But obviously they had to make all these songs, but they arranged it using cat and dog sounds for the music notes.
Magnificent.
It's so cute, and I didn't notice it initially, and then I did. I was like, oh my god, this is adorable. But it's so good. I love that they stuck with a very cutesy, simplified art style for the game, because coming from where it is, I appreciate they didn't try to like overdo it. I'm glad it doesn't look like the Wind Waker spin-offs for the 3DS, which would have been very disappointing.
Yeah.
Or even like Link Between Worlds. Like, I'm really glad they went with this very simplified toy-like style. But what do you think about it, Sydney?
I haven't really played a lot of it.
We might cut that part out.
No, the world must know.
The world must know.
I don't have an opinion because
awkward.
I haven't been playing it.
What do you think of the art, though?
I think it's cute.
And, like, the music.
I think it's cute.
Okay.
I just I don't have the same nostalgic investment you do. So like I'm coming at it as a fresh. It's like me playing Final Fantasy VII.
Okay, but Final Fantasy VII is objectively bad in a lot of ways.
Yes, it is. Cannot wait for that remake.
I know. We were doing a stream where Sydney was playing through Final Fantasy VII, the Steam release, and eventually I took pity on her and went, "You don't have to finish this. It's so hard. I'm so sorry."
That stupid button.
That
stupid fucking button sequence.
I love that when I saw you get to that point. I'm like, oh, you're gonna hate this.
It was stupid. So we'll
cancel that playthrough and we'll just have you play the remake because
yes.
I do want you to experience Final Fantasy VII. I am very happy and grateful that you decided to play Link's Awakening because originally you weren't really into it, but thank you for sharing this piece of my childhood with me.
I know, and I'll play more of it. I just, you have
stuff to do.
I want to finish that thing. That's very important to me.
So why don't we wrap up?
Yes.
Let's talk about what you've drawn so far.
Yeah.
It's very cute. I don't recognize these characters.
You haven't seen Ponyo?
Oh, you see, if she had bright red hair, I would have instantly realized who it was.
Oh yeah, no, it's the Ponyo characters.
Ah, cute. Yeah, because like from the boy, they all look the same. The boys do.
Yeah.
They all look
for
like
real, I misheard you at the beginning, or rather, I misprocessed it, and I heard Stardew instead of Starbound, so I was gonna draw Howl and Sophie on a farm, and then you started talking about Starbound, and I was like, oh shit!
Oh, that would have been really cute too, though!
It would have been, but alas.
Well, you'll just have to draw that one at some point, too.
Well, maybe it'll come up.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe!
Oh boy.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's kind of hard to do Ghibli with Starbound, at least with kids, because it occurs to me Starbound is a lot about killing things.
Starbound's very violent. Yeah.
It has guns.
It does have guns and rocket launchers and, like, galaxy swords.
Yeah.
I think you did really well, though. I think it's very cute. You do have the lantern on a stick.
I do.
And the backpack. And the little
matter manipulator.
Yeah, and the little music notes humming.
Close enough.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's very cute. I think you should finish it. Or at least, like, ink it.
We shall see.
Yeah.
So, thank you for joining us for this episode of Drawntaneous.
And if you'd like to see more of Sydney's art, you can find her on Twitter and Instagram at @CCLunaArt. And you can also support us on Ko-fi and Patreon under CC Luna.
Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye!